Oh no! Martin's got a ladder and a chainsaw out again. I tell you, after last week's video, it went on yesterday morning, the 18th of November. I got so many responses. Well, people are upset about that ladder chainsaw combo. They get upset about either one, but I put them both together and I kind of knew I was in trouble. That's why I tried to explain once I got off that ladder that it was okay. Well, I still got a lot of flack. So rather than try to answer all those comments, I'd just like to say that why it worked for me. For one, I had a light little chainsaw, and every time that I wasn't cutting and the saw was out in front of me with both hands on it, I would put that brake on so the chain cannot run. So if you slipped or did anything, you've got a motor running, but there is no chainsaw running, okay? And being a light little saw like this, I reached through the rungs, so I was being very careful. The ladder itself, it didn't lean like this, but the ladder leaned far enough, and it was stuck up into the top of that tree. It straddled the limbs and up on the trunk. There was no way it was coming out of there. It was stomped into the ground on the bottom, so even though I didn't have a buddy there to hold on to it, believe me, that ladder, it was secure, and it had enough of an angle on it. It was a good strong ladder, a fireman style ladder, extra heavy duty, that it was okay. And the other thing is that when I cut, I made sure I had two hands on, because I know what a chainsaw can do. It can buck back, it can do different things, so you want to be careful. And the one thing you didn't see me do was any tricks like swinging out to get a limb. Well, I'm not the only guy that's done that every once in a while, but when you do that, that's you can chew me out all you want if you ever see me doing that, because that's a real dangerous situation, because gravity's bringing your saw down fast toward you. And again, I say we use the small saw because I would not go up there with a big one like this, because it'd just be too heavy and much more prone, you know, to having an accident. So we got that covered. Now, where the good news is, I think I might be heading back up to the cabin the week after Thanksgiving. Bonnie's been doing really good here. We have another appointment with her surgeon. They had to redo her thumb again and go in and clean it out with a surgery. It got infected, so they went in and they cleaned it all out, and they put her on some strong antibiotic. She had a couple of infusions, and well, that was a month ago now, and everything's looking really good. So we'll check out with that surgeon for Vonnie, and I think she'll get this splint off. She can start using it. So I think I'll be okay to take off for maybe a week or 10 days. The other thing is this is November the 19th, 2023 in Illinois, which means it's the Sunday of deer season. We have these 3-day seasons, and our first shotgun season opens up on Friday the 17th. Well, anyway, so we're 3 days into it, and Martin isn't even hunting. Well, I'd gotten 3 deer with a crossbow in the previous couple of weeks. So I got one more with the shotgun, and so that I just finished this morning, about an hour ago. We just finished up grinding and getting that 4th deer in the freezer. So even with my great niece Ellie taking a good hunk of that meat to help us eat it up, I think I'm pretty good. So it frees me up not having to stick around for more of the deer seasons. And also, one of the deer that I got, this was deer number 3. Now, I like Minnesota, but this I think got a little, we might have got a few moose genes mixed into this one. It was a 4.5-year-old white-tailed deer. By the biologists, they take the jaw, they look at the teeth, and they can kind of tell you by the wear how old it is. And that's kind of what I figured too, because I've seen enough teeth and put my finger on them enough that I knew they still had the... So with enough deer meat in the freezer, and see, I even got a little bit of a start on my wood pile for the next winter. And last year we put in a propane furnace, so we had a furnace for the first time in 40 years. And it's been mild enough down here. We've had a lot of weather like this. It's pretty good behind me, doesn't it? For middle of November, we've had a lot of this, and so we've just been running that propane furnace, and I haven't even burned a stick of wood, so I'm not going to have near the labor of hauling in that wood this winter anyway. We'll see how much gas we want to burn in the future times, but if it stays low priced, moderate priced, I'm kind of tempted just to burn some and play elsewhere. Thing about playing, I like playing with these cameras, you know, in our videos, and I mentioned when I was up the last trip that this camera was giving out, I was looking forward to getting a new, it's been 5 years since I bought this one, and I thought, man, I'll be able to have all kinds of new bells and whistles. Well, I got doing my research, and it came out that the little bit newer version of this camera, the Panasonic ZS, this one's a 100, that for my purposes it was still the best value and the best thing I could get. So I did bump up, and they make a ZS 200 now that's got a 15 magnification zoom on it. I don't get too excited about the zoom because so many times you get zoomed out, your picture isn't really worth showing anyway, but I thought, well, for another $50 or something like that, I'll get that extra power, and if it makes a good image, it'll come in handy up there. And all right, okay, still speaking of cameras and videos, I want to thank you for treating my cabin partner Jim kindly as he went up, and I couldn't go because of Vonnie's, what she had going on, and our schedules were just kind of hard to get together between his issues and mine. So he went up by himself, and I told him when he went up, I said, Jim, I got an assignment for you. He said, what, work to do? I said, no, I want you to make some videos. I said, I want you to try that out. I said, people really appreciate you being there. And he's got a different, he looks at things differently than I do. And it's a fresh perspective on the cabin life. And believe me, he would work if there was work to do. If I left him a list of work to do, the first thing he'd do is get it all done. But I'd been up there long enough. I had all those maniacal little chores done. And so he could leave the chainsaws alone, which he did, which is a good thing, I was just glad with the response that Jim got. I think people appreciated seeing him up there. And he had that blessing of the first snow, which was so pretty to wake up to until he decided to drive down the trail to get out of there. And he found out he had way too much cutting with a handsaw to do. But, well, that happens up there. Those wet snows come in the early winter, and they're wet and heavy, and they just weigh all that stuff down and bring it right down to the ground. It's amazing the size of a tree or a birch that it can just bring over and just arc it right down to the ground. And a lot of it, if you give it some time and the snow melts off, it'll spring back up a way you can get your car under it. But, well, when you got to go home, you got to go home. Well, so that's the update from Martin and Vonnie's home. Things are going well. The weather's been good. It's been good. Vonnie's healing up very nicely. She's getting her strength back. With those surgeries and things like that, they knock you out. Well, then you get a little brain fog and stuff. So she's just commenting lately how she's just feeling so much better. And get her Bible out, and she can actually study it and think about it there for a while. And that kind of stuff is really important to her. So getting back into it, she's